man more powerful than anyone has ever seen before, the man who shaped and saved China by destroying it, the man who will become the greatest leader China has ever seen. December 26, 1893, Shaoshan, China. Mao Zedong entered the world. In the early years of his life, Mao was a voracious reader. At the age of 13, Mao's father pulled him out of elementary school and had him work on the farm full-time. When Mao was 16, he left home to finish elementary school training in the Hunanese capital of Changsha. This was the time where Mao realized the revolutionary changes that were shaping China's society. From 1913 to 1918, Mao attended the first Hunan Normal School. When he graduated in 1918 and traveled to Beijing, he became fascinated with the intellectual and political activity of the May 4th movement. This was directed toward national independence, emancipation of the individual, and the rebuilding of society and culture. When moving between Changsha and Shanghai, Mao devoted his time to reading, writing, and talking about revolution. Mao considered himself as a Marxist in theory and to some extent in action. On July 21, 1921, Mao was one of many founders of the Chinese Communist Party. In 1911, the Xinhua Revolution began against the monarchy, and Mao joined the Revolutionary Army and the Kuomintang, or the Nationalist Party. The Kuomintang was led by the Chinese statesman Sun Yat-sen. After the Kuomintang overthrew the monarchy and established the Republic of China, Mao Zedong reveled in the many changes throughout China. Sun Yat-sen began a peace policy with the Communists of China, who grew in numbers and also strength. Mao supported both the Kuomintang and the Communists, but later believed that tranquility and peace among the peasant farmers was how Asia would establish true communism. When Sun Yat-sen died, his successor, Chairman Chiang Kai-shek, took his place. Chiang Kai-shek was a more traditional type of person and did not like the fact of working with the communists. In April 1927, Chiang Kai-shek broke the policy of peace and slaughtered or imprisoned those who would call themselves communists. That September, Mao led a small army of peasant fighters against the Kuomintang, but was easily defeated. Mao then retreated into the Jiangxi Mountains with the remaining army and reorganized plans. With the help of Mao, the people established the Soviet Republic of China in the small mountainous area of Jiangxi and also elected him as the chairman of the small republic. With small guerrilla forces, Mao enforced the communist law. By 1934, more than 10 parts of the Jiangxi province was under communist control. Chiang Kai-shek became nervous because of the growing power of the communists and arranged about 1 million government forces and surrounded the communist strongholds. Instead of making a final stand, Mao decided to retreat to the north with over 100,000 of his followers, which was called a Long March. This was across the Chinese mountains. Of the 100,000 people that followed Mao, about 30,000 made it through the 8,000-mile. In July 1937, the Japanese invaded northern China. Unable to defend the coastal and major cities of China, Chiang Kai-shek asked Mao and his followers for assistance with the invading Japanese. When the Japanese were defeated in 1945, Mao could finally set his goals on controlling all of China. After defeating the Japanese, the two parties split and fought into a civil war. On October 1st, 1949, in Tiananmen Square, Beijing, Mao announced the established People's Republic of China. Chiang Kai-shek and his followers, after losing the civil war to the communists, fled to the island of Taiwan and established the Republic of China. Over the next few years, Mao Zedong made many changes to China. Using persuasion or coercion, and also using violence whenever he thought it was needed, Mao instituted many positive changes in China. This included promoting the status of women, doubling the school population, improving literacy, and increasing access to healthcare. Mao's ideas were not supported as much in the big cities. This led to the launch of the 100 Flowers campaign. This campaign allowed the people to express their thoughts and concerns for the country. Mao believed he would get ideas that would be useful to the growing country, but instead, he got only hate and rebuke of the reforms. Surprised by the results, Mao felt that he lost power and quickly imprisoned hundreds of thousands of Chinese and called them rightist. In January 1958, Mao launched the Great Leap Forward. This was attempting to increase the agricultural and industrial production in China. Mao tried to accomplish what would happen in centuries, but in a matter of decades. At first, production was going great, until a great period of floods and bad harvest occurred. Food became very scarce, and within months, famine spread. Entire villages died of starvation. This was considered the worst man-made famine in history, with over 45 million casualties. As a result of the Great Leap Forward, Mao Zedong lost power as his enemies took control of the empire. While Mao was waiting for the time for his return, a supporter took Mao's writings and compiled them into a book known as the Little Red Book, and it was available to all the Chinese people. In 1966, when Mao made his return to power, he demonstrated that he was healthy and fit by swimming in the Yangtze River for several minutes. Mao and his close supporters organized public rallies involving younger supporters. Mao believed that the younger supporters would not remember much of the failure in the Great Leap Forward and the famine. Mao told his followers that the bourgeoisie were trying to restore capitalism and declared that this must be removed at once. This led to the formation of the Red Army, also known as the Red Guards. When Mao was back in control, he ensured that the rejection he received during the 100 Flowers campaign was never to happen again. Mao Zedong ordered to close the schools and send everyone in the city to the countryside to be re-educated on hard labor. The Cultural Revolution destroyed much of China's traditional cultural heritage and also created social and economic chaos in the country. In 1972, to help permanently solidify his legacy in China's history, Mao Zedong held a meeting with his enemy, President Richard Nixon, which eased tensions held by China and U.S. Mao Zedong left a controversial legacy in both China and the West as a genocidal monster and a political genius. In China, he is held in high regard as a great political strategist and military mastermind. Also, he is known as the savior of the nation.